deliver consistent high purity hydrogen food.
Tim, it's great to have you back on InvestorStream. With the news last week that one of your well recompletions has yielded some solid production gains from that single well, the DPI 2605. Now, all the details are spelled out in the release, so let's just focus on the dollars and cents. The well is now on pump, and you are temporarily flaring the gas. Can you just tell us about the oil sales channel down there and when you expect to monetize the gas?
Thanks, Alex. It's good to be back. It's a pretty exciting well for us and continues to perform well. So far, we've sold 1,667 barrels of oil for a gross revenue of approximately $185,000. So those are some pretty good results. And the oil sales channel is very reliable, selling directly to a refinery in Illinois. I will say that in the initial stages of production, we did have some difficulties getting the oil picked up as fast as we were producing. So we had to bring our own tankers out of the Appalachian Basin to pick up the oil for sales. But since then, our oil purchaser in the area has committed to dedicating pickups for that well, and they've been doing a great job keeping ahead of the production. Regarding the gas, as mentioned in the release, we're working with a local municipality to set up the sales channel for them to use it locally there. And those discussions are fairly mature, and we're currently working through that contract verbiage right now. I think we've got about a mile of pipeline to build out, but we'll be doing this with our own guys, and we expect it to cost just under $100,000. So as far as timing is concerned, there's a few pieces of uncertainty there, but it certainly shouldn't take very long. And so we'll update the market as we know more about that.
It looks like this well seems to be quite a solid producer. Can you just tell us about the geology in the region?
Well, Alex, I'm not a geologist, but I can tell you that the Warsaw-Fort Payne formations are fairly new for exploration in the Illinois Basin. And some operators, including us now, are getting some pretty good results. Our bottom hole pressure is around 700 pounds per square inch, which is very good and quite unexpected in a basin that's as mature as this one. Now, we did have two different zones in this well that were interesting. And the team chose to do a pretest on the lower zone to determine if it was worth fracking. They perforated this zone and we started getting oil back even before the frack. So this was a pretty good sign and the impetus behind the decision to complete both zones in the 2605 well. We did have some operational challenges in the flow back. The bottom zone was not initially flowing back, so we had to put a rig on the well and correct that. But suffice it to say that we're very, very excited about the results.
Can you just give us a bit more context around the natural flow rates compared to the choke back rates? Why not just let the well produce?
That's a good question. I would prefer to let the well produce. But when you open up a new formation, it's sort of like opening a bottle of soda that's just been shaken up. Once you penetrate the formation to liberate the oil and gas, you've got formation pressures to deal with. And it's a good problem to have because it provides the drive to bring the oil and gas out of the ground. But if you don't control it, the wellbore can become damaged and you jeopardize the long-term production of the well. And as with most wells, you don't produce the well at its max flow rate in order to get the most production long-term. And so we've choked the well back to about 50 barrels of oil per day and 300 MCF, and we're making our adjustments from there. It's very possible that we'll be able to increase these amounts with our adjustments. Just to give you an example, yesterday we added a demulsifier to help the gas and the water to settle out of the oil more efficiently. And the well produced 67 barrels during that day. So, and we'll continue to make these adjustments until we get it dialed in. Video you're seeing on the screen now is the DPI 2605 well producing naturally into an open production tank. And as I mentioned previously, the bottom hole pressure is over 700 pounds, so the production is coming pretty quickly. And this is what the well does without being controlled with a choke.
Thanks, Tim. So before we let you go, how many ducks do you have in this region of the Illinois Basin, and what other opportunities are you assessing now?
With a well catalog of 1,500 wells, our geology team is constantly finding enhanced production opportunities throughout our entire acreage position. In the Illinois Basin, the teams identified an additional 8 wells that we own and produce within 10 miles of the 2605. And these 8 wells have already been drilled through the Warsaw Fort Payne formations, and they all look very promising. And just to clarify, these are existing producing wells. So even if they aren't classified as DUCs, the drilling's already been done, and we just need to complete them in this new zone. We also have enough acreage to drill an additional 12 wells on the lease that the 2605 is situated on. However, we do still need to identify these locations and ensure that the landscape will allow for it. So this number could potentially be reduced if we find any significant obstructions. And just to remind everyone, in addition to this, we have just under 10,000 acres in the Illinois Basin, all of which have the potential to have this Warsaw Fort Payne production that we're now producing in the 2605. And so we have a tremendous opportunity to further develop the potential that we've uncovered in this new well. Now, company-wide, we have a work log of over 300 wells that require additional attention to increase the production. And these 300 opportunities vary in scope, size, and payback, but there are some very interesting prospects. Some of them just require evacuating the water from the wellbore, and we call that swabbing, but some of them are much more complex and could also potentially change our production profile. And I'm going to give you an example of this. In the east, we have about 20 wells that were drilled and completed open hole, and these wellbores collapsed and the wells are no longer producing at the volumes that they could be. Now, this is potentially an example of wells that were overproduced. And today you would case the well to protect the well bore. But when these wells were drilled, they didn't do that. In some cases, these wells IP'd between 1 million and 5 million cubic feet per day. And we need to go in and clean these out to restore production. And we have many examples of these types of opportunities, Alex.
Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate the updates and all the best for the ongoing workovers.
Thanks very much, Alex. Good to be with you.